Hi everyone. So friends, in our previous lecture, we discussed about assume true and assume false method. We saw how they are used to provide our assumptions in JUnit 5. So in this lecture, we will discuss about assuming that method. We'll see the demonstration of it and we'll see how it is different from assume true and assume false. So in our JUnit 5 project, in test folder, I will be creating one class. I will give it a name as assuming that demo, and I will keep it in a package in com.hubspot.junit5.assumptions dot assuming that. So we'll click finish. So friends, inside this assuming that demo test class, I will be demonstrating assuming that method. So here, if I go to assume true demo class, I will simply copy this test case and I will reuse this test case in assuming that demo class. Here I will be giving the name to this test method as assuming that with boolean condition. So friend, let's suppose I want to execute this test case, and what I want is, let's say I provide a precondition, and if that precondition is satisfied, I want to execute this test case, let's say with more asserts. So what I can do is, here I can use assuming that method. I will import it. So this assuming that method takes in a boolean condition and an executable. So let's say I provide an executable through lambda expression like this. And here I provide a sysout. Let's say I provide a string as that it's a dev environment. And let's say I provide some more assertions. So this could be any assertion which you want to execute. So let's say I give phi. So we can provide any logic here. So friends, here you can see that we have provided a precondition. Let's say if we are executing this test case in multiple environments, and we want that when it is executed in dev environment, this piece of code should also get executed. It means we are performing more validations and assertions on this test case, that if it is dev environment, then execute this piece of logic. And if it is not dev environment, then simply skip this logic and simply execute this logic. So here, below code, gets executed in every environment. So this piece of code will be executed in every environment. But here if we are providing an assumption, and if it is a dev environment, then along with this piece of code, first it will also execute this piece of code. So here I simply provide a sysout as executed in every environment. So friends, when I run this test case, we know that we haven't provided any system property as env whose value is dev. So it means this test case is not running in dev environment. So if I run this test case, so friends, here you can see that our test case got executed successfully, and here you can see it only printed this system out that executed in every environment. But as it is not a dev environment, it didn't execute this piece of code, and it simply skipped this executable here. Now friends, let's say if I provide a system property to this test case as, let's say I go to run configuration, and here under arguments, in VM arguments, I simply give an environment property as env with a value as dev. And if I run this test case now, so friends, here you can see the test case got executed successfully. It didn't skip the test case, what it did in assume true and assume false method. It did execute the test case. The only thing it skipped was the executable when we ran it without an environment property. And as we have supplied an environment property having value as dev, you can see it executed the code which we provided in our executable, and after that it executed the code we provided in our test case. So friends, using assuming that, we provide our assumption, and if that assumption is satisfied, then we want that whatever the block of code we have provided it via executable function interface, that gets executed. And if our assumption is not true, then this executable is skipped and test proceeds further for the execution of remaining code. So friends, here we saw the overloaded method which took a boolean condition. So the other overloaded method, instead of boolean condition, takes in a boolean supplier. So here I will give the name of the method as assuming that with boolean supplier. So friends, the scenario remains the same. The only change we do here is we simply provide a lambda expression, something like this, which provides a boolean condition. So friends, let's say if I run this code again, so here let's say instead of dev I provide a value as prod. So though we have provided a system property env, but the value is prod, which is not dev. So if I run this test case, so here you can see the piece of code written in executable is skipped because our boolean condition is not satisfied. So friends, this was all about assuming that method. I hope you like this video. Thanks, have a nice day.